Happy Sabbath, everybody. Share. All right. This is a Bible study. If you like scripture studies as much as I do, join in. It's helpful if you keep the Sabbath day, which is Saturday, the seventh day, not Sunday. If you look on the calendar. So Sunday starts the calendar, so that's the first day of the week. I'm not going to get into all the Roman days and all that stuff, but so yeah, see, first day, second day, third day, fourth day, seventh day Sabbath. That's the biblical Sabbath. If you keep the Roman Sabbath, that'd be Sunday. But if you want to study scriptures and understand, keep the biblical Sabbath and get rid of the fake Sabbath and get rid of Christmas, Easter, all that pagan garbage. That's what it took for me to understand scriptures. That's the when you believe in Messiah, the veil is lifted. Being in Messiah is believing in the law, because he said, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life." He's the law. So you go over here, 2 Corinthians, and Brother Mick showed this to us a couple of years ago, I think. 2 Corinthians 3. So here, and not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, the children of Israel could not steadfastly look to the end of that which is abolished, but their minds were blinded. For until this day remaineth the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, same veil, which veil is done away with in Christ. So if you start keeping the Sabbath day, you get rid of pagan garbage, which is breaking the commandments, including Sunday. And so the veil's done away, and you can understand what's being written. But even unto this day, when Moses read, the veil is upon their heart. Nevertheless, when it shall turn to the Lord, the veil shall be taken away. Like, that's what that means. So we're going to study Nahum. The book of Nahum. This is Dead Sea Scrolls. Hold on a second. Alright, so the book of Nahum, I got the Dead Sea Scrolls pulled up, I got the KJV pulled up, Thompson Septuagint, Brent Septuagint, Text Critical New Testament, Blue Letter Bible, Giza Burns. Yep, so I don't think I forgot anything. Alright, so Nahum 1. This is the scroll from Merabat, Ba'at, Wadi. Revelation about Nineveh, the book of the vision of Nahum the Elkoshite. Yahuwah is a jealous God and avenges. Yahuwah avenges and is full of wrath. Yahuwah takes vengeance on his adversaries. He maintains wrath against his enemies. So he's righteous. He's got righteous anger, holy wrath, holy vengeance. Yahuwah is slow to anger and great in power, and will by no means leave the guilty unpunished. So he's slow to anger, great in power. He will not leave the guilty unpunished. Yahuwah has his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. So that reminds me of the Exodus when he came out. That would be Exodus 13. Pull up scrolls. Exodus 13. $13.21. Is that in here? Yeah, so Yahuwah went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them on their way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, that they might go by day and by night. A pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night didn't depart from before the people. And he uses the divine name here, and Jude says that the Messiah led them out. So take that however you want to take it. Enoch says the Messiah led them out too in the animal dream vision. So, and also in the, so Exodus 12 and Exodus 40. So we went over this the other day. Where's that? Sanctify your actions, you shall anoint them. Well, was Exodus 40, I thought. God led the people about through the way of the wilderness of the Red Sea. The children of Israel went up harnessed out of the land of Egypt. So, if Jude and Enoch are correct, the Exodus is calling him God as well. That does not replace the Father. How people get so tripped up on that. Well, yeah, I do. I used to. So, I know it's in there. On the tent of meeting, cloud. And it's interesting in the Hebrew. This is actually the tent of the appointed time. So that's when you meet at the appointed times. I'll cover the tent of the congregation. So Exodus 40, 34. Okay, I don't have that in the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's why it's not coming up. So 40, 34. Moses finished the work. Then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of Yahuwah filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation because the cloud abode thereon. And the glory of Yahuwah filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, just like Exodus 12 or 13. Go back. 13, sorry. And the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys, but if the cloud were not taken up, they journeyed not till the day that it was taken up. So, same thing. So, Messiah was in the pillar of fire, pillar of smoke. He led the Israelites, and his glory was over the tent of the appointed time. So, Exodus 40. Tent of the Moed. See, tent of Moed. traditionally translated tent of meeting, which it is a meeting place, but it is the appointed time. So you go to the tent of appointed time for the appointed times. Lexicon is very valuable, better than Strong's Concordance. This is an older lexicon there. So, yeah, anyways. So, Yahuwah, it has his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. He rebukes the sea and makes it dry and dries up all the rivers. That's Messiah. Bashan languishes, and Carmel and the flower of Lebanon languishes. So here's how it is. I think this is what people struggle with. Father Almighty sits in heaven. He's on his throne in heaven. He doesn't leave heaven. He doesn't come down here with flesh at all. He's so magnificent and holy. Only certain angels can go in his presence. Angels of the presence, Book of Jubilees. Okay. So when Messiah comes and establishes his throne on earth, does Father in heaven come off of his throne in heaven? No, he doesn't. He sits on the throne in heaven. Messiah sits on the throne on earth. Messiah interacts with men. He's the son of Father in heaven, which makes him God. Automatically, he's the son of God. He's higher than the angels, right? And they're called gods, little gods. Yeah, little g gods, sorry. So he establishes his throne on earth, and he created us. Colossians, everything was made through him. First John, was it John? First John? Yeah, Book of John. Yeah, everything was made through him. Nothing without him was made. So he's a father to us too. He doesn't replace the Most High Father in heaven, but he's still a father. He created everything, just like my son was created through me. Right? So I'm his father. It's not hard, really. The grandfather in Hebrew, like Abraham, would be considered Jacob's father because he's the father of Isaac, which Isaac came from Abraham. Not like Greeks, grandfather, grandpa, whatever, you know. So, happy Sabbath, Rosie. He rebukes the sea and makes it dry and dries up all the rivers. So this here, if you go to, I'm trying to explain it where people understand it. People say I'm a heretic. You calling him father? Turn to look. Alright, so 2nd Ezra 13:3, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, and when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. Whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth filleth when it filleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there were gathered together a multitude of men, out of number, from the four winds of heaven. You see that in Revelation, 4 winds, or 4 corners, to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had created himself a great mountain and flew upon it. Yep, so the great multitude went to fight against him. Let's see. 12. Well, this goes into 13. Sorry about all the struggle. Yeah. Anyways, we know who that Son of Man is. There's the man. Love that man. translation of that. But Bashan languishes, so he rebukes the sea and makes it dry and dries up all the rivers. Bashan languishes in Carmel, and the flower of Lebanon languishes. The mountains quake before him, and the hills melt away. The earth trembles at his presence, yea, the world and all who dwell in it. Who can stand before his indignation? Who can endure the fierceness of his anger? His wrath is poured out like fire, and the rocks are broken apart by him. Isaiah 20. Yeah, let me go over here. Isaiah 27, I believe. But withered. Fury is not in me. Who would set the briars and thorns against me in battle? I would go through them, I would burn them together, or let him take hold of my strength, that he may make peace with me, and he shall make peace with me. He shall cause them that come of Jacob to take root. Israel shall blossom and bud and fill the face of the world with fruit. That's law keeping. Psalms 1. Let's see, 28. Let's look it up here. Fierce anger. Wrath. Fierce anger. Isaiah 13. I thought it was in Isaiah somewhere. So Isaiah 13. Set up a banner on the bare mountain. Lift up an ensign. Isaiah 11. Lift up your voice to them. Wave your hand that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my consecrated ones. Yes, I have called my mighty men from my anger. Even my proudly exalted ones. The noise of a multitude is in the mountains, as of a great people. The noise of an uproar of the kingdoms of the nations gathered together. They gathered to battle. Yehovah of armies is mustering the army for the battle. They come from a far country in the uttermost part of heaven, even Yahuwah and the weapons of his indignation, to destroy the whole land. Wail, for the day of Yahuwah is at hand. It will come as destruction from the Almighty. Therefore all hands will be feeble, and everyone's heart will melt. They will be dismayed. Pangs and sorrows will seize them. They will be in pain like a woman in labor. They will look in amazement one at another, and their faces will be faces of flame. Behold, the day of Yahuwah comes, cruel with wrath and fierce anger, to make the land a desolation, and to destroy its sinners out of it. For the stars of the sky and its constellations will not give their light. Revelation language there. The sun will be darkened in its going out. The moon will not cause its light to shine. I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity, lawlessness. I will cause the arrogant of the proud to cease, and will humble the arrogance of the terrible. Yeah, anytime you try to keep the law and the Sabbath and the holy days and those spirits in people, they'll come out. Like, I will make people more rare than fine gold, even a person than the pure gold of Ophir. Therefore I will make the heavens tremble, and the earth will be shaken out of its place, and Yahuwah of armies' wrath, we've seen that in Nahum, in the day of his fierce anger, and they will be like a hunted gazelle, and like sheep that no one gathers. They will each turn to their own people, and will each flee to their own land. Everyone who is found will be thrust through. Everyone who is captured will fall by the sword. Their infants also will be dashed in pieces before their eyes, and their houses will be ransacked, and their wives raped. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, who will not value silver, and as for gold, they will not delight in it. Their bows will dash the young men in pieces, and they will have no pity on the fruit of the womb, and their eyes will not spare their children. Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans' pride, will be like when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It will never be inhabited, neither will it be lived in from generation to generation. The Arabian will not pitch a tent there, neither will shepherds make their flocks lie down there. But wild animals of the desert will lie there, and their houses will be full of jackals. Ostriches will dwell there, and wild goats will frolic there. Wolves will cry in their fortresses, and jackals in the pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days will not be prolonged. And Isaiah 11 through 15 go together. That's how you know it's end times. 14. And then it goes up, for I will have mercy on Jacob. It's not talking about previous Medes in Babylon. Who can stand before his indignation? Who can endure the fierceness of his anger? His wrath is poured out like fire, and the rocks are broken apart by him. Yahuwah is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble. Day of trouble, tribulation. Revelation 7:14. I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Great tribulation. Thlipsis. Oppression, affliction, tribulation, distress. Time of trouble. No, Revelation 3. Keep thee from the hour of temptation, hour of trial, trial or proving, trial made of you by my bodily conditions, since conditions served as to test the love of the Galatians toward Paul, trial of man's fidelity, integrity, virtue, constancy. Tribulation. The day of trouble, day of tribulation. He knows those who take refuge in him. Goes to, because you've kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, or hour of trial, tribulation. Kept the word, G30:26, because you have kept his word, which is sayings of God, moral precepts given by God, doctrine, teaching, his word. You've kept his law. He knows those who take refuge in him. That's who that is. But with an overflowing flood, he will make a full end of her place, and will pursue his enemies into darkness. That's interesting. I'm not sure how this ties in, but Revelation 12:15, the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. The earth helped the woman. So full end of her place, and will pursue his enemies into darkness. I'm not sure how that ties in. Let's see. So what do you plot against Yahuwah? He will make a full end. Affliction won't rise up the second time. For entangled like thorns and drunken as with their drink, they are consumed utterly like dry stubble. There is one gone out of you who devises evil against Yahuwah, who counsels wickedness. Yahuwah says, though they be in full strength, and likewise many, even so they will be cut down, and he shall pass away. Though I have afflicted you, I will afflict you no more. Now I will break his yoke from off you, and will burst your bonds apart. Yahuwah has commanded concerning you, no more descendants will bear your name out of the house of your gods. I will cut off the engraved image and the molten image, and I will make your grave, for you are vile. Behold on the mountains the feet of him who brings good news, who publishes peace. Keep your feast, Yehuda. Perform your vows, for the wicked one will no more pass through you. He is utterly cut off. Judah. That'd be the land of Judah. The wicked one will no longer pass through you. We know who the one that publishes good news is. Messiah. It's all about Messiah. Let's see. Good news, publish peace. Isaiah 52:7. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publishes peace, that bringeth good tidings of good, that publishes salvation, that saith unto Zion, thy God reigneth. Zion is Jerusalem, which is in the land of Judah. Same thing we're talking about here. Therefore my people shall know my name, and they shall know that in that day that I am he that does speak. Behold his eye. So they shall know in that day. Yep. All in good time. Let's see. I think that's it. So 15. This is print in Septuagint, Nahum 15, 1:15. So that's chapter 2. Yep. Nahum chapter 2. He who dashes in pieces has come up against you. Keep the fortress, watch the way. You know who he who dashes in pieces is. We saw that in the previous chapter. That's Messiah. And they use the divine title for him and call him God. And he's called Father. Keep the fortress, watch the way, strengthen your waist, fortify your power mightily. For Yahuwah restores the excellency of Yaakov as the excellency of Yisrael. For the destroyers have destroyed them and ruined their vine branches. So he restores. He's going to restore it. The shield of his mighty men is made red. The valiant men are in scarlet. The chariots flash with steel, and the day of his preparation are brandished. The chariots rage in the streets. They rush back and forth in the wide ways. Their appearance is like torches. They run like the lightnings. He summons his picked troops. They stumble on their way. They dash to his wall, and the protective shield is put in place. The gates of the rivers are open, and the palace is dissolved. It is decreed, she is uncovered, she is carried away, and her servants moan, as with the voices of doves beating on their breast. But Nineveh has been from of old like a pool of water, yet they flee away. Stop, stop, they cry, but no one looks back. Take the plunder of silver, take the plunder of gold, for there is no end to the store. The glory of all goodly furniture, no one looks back. He said, remember Lot's wife. No one looks back. What did Lot's wife do? Look back. She is empty, void, and waste. The heart melts, the knees knock together, their bodies and faces have grown pale. Where is the den of the lions and the feeding place of the young lions? Where the lion and the lioness walked, the lion's cubs, and no one made them afraid. The lion tore in pieces enough for his cubs, and strangled for his lionesses, and filled his caves with the kill, and his dens with the prey. Behold, I am against you, says Jehovah of armies, and I will burn her chariots in the smoke, and the sword will devour your young lions, and I will cut off your prey from the earth, and the voice of your messengers will no longer be heard. Nahum chapter 3. Woe to the bloody city. It is full of lies and robbery. We know what that is. It's Jerusalem defiled. Jerusalem is aka Babylon. The prey doesn't depart. The noise of the whip, the noise of the rattling of wheels, prancing horses and bounding chariots, the horsemen mounting and the flashing sword, the glittering spear and the multitude of slain, and a great heap of corpses, and there is no end of the bodies. They stumble on their bodies. 3. Because of the multitude of the prostitution of the alluring prostitute, the mistress of witchcraft, who sells nations through her prostitution and families through her witchcraft, the harlot, Jerusalem, Babylon. Behold, I am against you, says Jehovah of armies, and I will lift your skirts over your face. I will show the nations your nakedness, and the kingdoms your shame. I will throw abominable filth on you, and make you vile, and will set you a spectacle. It will happen that all those who look at you will flee from you, and say, Nineveh is laid waste. Who will mourn for her? Where will I seek comforters for you? Are you better than Nahum, who was situated among the rivers, who had the waters around her, whose rampart was her wall, was of the sea? Cush and Egypt were her boundless strength. Put and Libya were her helpers. Yet she was carried away, she went into captivity. Her young children were dashed in pieces at the head of all the streets. They cast lots for her honorable men, and all her great men were bound in chains. You also will be drunken, you will be hidden. You will also seek the stronghold because of the enemy. All your fortresses will be like fig trees with the first ripe figs. If they are shaken, they fall into the mouth of the eater. Behold, your troops among you are women. The gates of your land are set wide open to your enemies. The fire has devoured your bars. Draw water for the siege. Strengthen your fortresses. Go into the clay and tread the mortar. Make the brick kiln strong. There the fire will devour you. The sword will cut you off. It will devour you like the grasshopper. Multiply like grasshoppers. Multiply like the locust. You have increased your merchants more than the stars of the skies. So it talks about merchants just like the harlot. The grasshopper strips and the flees away. Your guards are like the locust, and your officials like the swarms of locusts, which settle on the walls on a cold day. But when the sun appears, they flee away, and their place is not known where they are. Your shepherds slumber, king of Assyria. Your nobles lie down. Your people are scattered on the mountains, and there is no one to gather them. There is no healing your wound, for your injury is fatal. All who hear the report of you clap their hands over you, for who hasn't felt your endless cruelty? 19. Yeah, it's kind of a weird way that Nahum ends there. Habakkuk's the next one. So we got the commentary on Nahum that's found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is the interpretation of the priests. In whirlwind and storm is his way, and a cloud is the dust of his feet. Its interpretation: the whirlwinds and the storms are from the firmaments of his heaven and of his earth, which he has created. So who created? We know who that is. They tell you right there. So he rebukes the seas and dries it up. So that's chapter 1, verse 3. Chapter 1, verse 4. Its interpretation: the sea is all the Kittim, who are, so the Romans, to execute judgment against them and to destroy them from the face of the earth, together with all their commanders, whose dominion shall be finished. So this is when he returns. He didn't destroy the Romans the first time, but when he comes back, he's going to destroy them all. Bashan and Carmel have withered, and the sprout of Lebanon withers. Chapter 1, verse 4. Its interpretation: will perish in it the summit of the wickedness. This is Giza Vermes' Dead Sea Scrolls, by the way. Summit of the wickedness 4. Carmel and to his commanders. Lebanon and the sprout of Lebanon are the priests, the sons of Zadok and the men of their council, and they shall perish from before. And it's got missing part there, and the elect, missing part there. Next, the inhabitants of the world. The mountains quake before him, the hills heave, and the earth is lifted up before him, and the world and all that dwell in it. Who can stand before his wrath, and who can rise against his furious anger? Its interpretation: missing. Where is the lion's den and the cave of the young lions? Chapter 2, 2. Interpreted: this concerns a dwelling place for the ungodly of the nations. Whither the lion goes, there is the lion's cub, with none to disturb it. Chapter 2. Interpreted: this concerns Demetrius, king of Greece, who sought on the counsel of those who seek smooth things to enter Jerusalem. But God did not permit the city to be delivered into the hands of the kings of Greece, from the time of Antiochus until the coming of the rulers of the Kittim. But then shall she be trampled under their feet. So Maccabees is false. It tells you right here. And any other source that says that the Greeks took Jerusalem, they did not. God did not permit it. And until the Kittim came, the Romans, then he allowed it. From the time of Antiochus until the coming of the rulers of Kittim. But then she shall be trampled under their feet. The lion tears enough for its cubs, and it chokes prey for its lionesses. Chapter 2. Interpreted: this concerns the furious young lion who strikes by means of his great men and by means of the men of his council. See, this right here is valuable for understanding what this means. Instead of putting our own understanding on it, they tell you what it means. And chokes prey for its lionesses, and fills its caves with prey, and its dens with victims. Chapter 2, 12. Interpreted: this concerns the furious young lion who executes revenge on those who seek smooth things and hangs men alive. Formerly in Israel, because of a man hanged alive on the tree, he proclaims, behold, I am against you, says Yahuwah of hosts. So who'd they hang the man? Who'd they hang alive on a tree? Acts 5:30, the God of our fathers raised up Yahusha, whom he slew and hanged on a tree. And he says, and when they had brought them, they set them before the council, and the high priest asked them, saying, do we not straitly command you that you should not teach in this name? Behold, you have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine, and intend to bring this man's blood upon us. He said, you slew him and hanged him on a tree. Who? High priest. Furious young lion who executes revenge on those who seek smooth things and hangs men alive. Blank, formerly in Israel. So I'm not sure if I don't think it's the furious young lion, because this separates. He's for the one that seeks smooth things. Messiah didn't seek smooth things. Seeking smooth things would be teaching against the law, or teaching lawlessness, or man's commandments. I'll burn up your multitude in smoke, and the sword shall devour your young lions. I will cut off your prey from the earth. 2. Interpreted, your multitude is the bands of his army, and his young lions are missing. His prey is the wealth which the priests of Jerusalem have amassed, which Israel shall be delivered, which blank Israel shall be delivered blank, so it's missing. The wealth of the priests of Jerusalem. That reminds me of something else. His foot touches down on Mount Olives and breaks it in half, I think. Zechariah 14:4, and his feet shall stand that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is for Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof, toward the east and toward the west, and there shall be a very great valley, and half the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half it toward the south. Yep. So then shall Yahuwah go forth and fight against those nations as he fought in the day of battle. Yep. So like his feet shall stand on Mount Olives and break the mountain in half, pretty much. Yep. So Testament of Levi. Corrupt priest money. This is a decent translation, but they've got newer text and better translation with the Dead Sea Scrolls and everything. But yeah, this was 1926. But I thought that it said something about he saw 7 men in white raiment. Yep. If you see, if you look at the old pre-300 AD so-called Ante-Nicene writings, they quote Ezekiel, where they put a mark on the people's forehead that sigh and cry for the abominations, and this right here was in Ezekiel. 7 men and one their leader, but it's been changed since then. I'd have to look it up. Let's see, something similar to that. So here. So here Levi talks about the priesthood. You shall bring a curse upon our race because the light of the law which was given to enlighten every man. This you desire to destroy by teaching commandments contrary to the ordinances of God, commandments of men. The offerings of Yahuwah you shall rob, from his portion shall you steal choice portions, eating them contemptuously with harlots. Out of covetousness you shall teach the commandments of Yahuwah. Wedded women shall you pollute, virgins of Jerusalem shall you defile, and with harlots and adulteresses shall you be joined, and the daughters of the Gentiles shall you take to wife, purifying them with unlawful purification, and your union shall be like unto Sodom and Gomorrah. You shall be puffed up because of your priesthood, lifting yourselves up against men, not only so, but also against the commands of God. For you shall contemn the holy things with jest and laughter. Therefore the temple which Yahuwah shall choose shall be laid waste through your uncleanness, and you shall be captives throughout all the nations. So, where's it at? It's the testimony of Levi. Ooh. There we go. Oops. His praise for the wealth which the priests of Jerusalem have amassed, which Israel. The voice of your messengers shall no more be heard. Chapter 2. Interpreted, his messengers are his envoys, whose voice shall no more be heard among the nations. Reminds me, the voice of the bridegroom shall cease. Or the bride and the bridegroom. His messengers are his envoys. Love how they translate some words. Need a dictionary to figure out what they're talking about. Envoy. It is thinking like one dispatched upon an errand or mission, a messenger, a person deputed by a sovereign or government to negotiate a treaty, transact other business with a foreign sovereign or government, minister credit to a foreign government. Messenger. So the messengers of the gospel, maybe. Woe to the city of blood is full of lies and rapine. Chapter 3. Interpreted, this is the city of Ephraim, those who seek smooth things during the last days, who walk in lies and falsehood. The prowler is not wanting, noise of whip and noise of rattling wheel, prancing horse and jolting chariot, charging horsemen, flame and glittering spear, a multitude of the slain, a heap of carcasses. There's no end to the corpses, they stumble upon their corpses. Chapter 3. Interpret, this concerns the dominion of those who seek smooth things, from the midst of whose assembly the sword of the nations shall never be wanting. Captivity, looting, and burning shall be among them, and exile out of dread for the enemy. A multitude of guilty corpses shall fall in their days. There shall be no end to the sum of their slain. They shall also stumble upon their body of flesh because of their guilty counsel. It's a long commentary. Because of the many harlotries of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of seduction, she who sells the nations through her harlotries and families through her seductions. Chapter 3. Interpret, this concerns those who lead Ephraim astray, who lead many astray through their false teaching, their lying tongue and deceitful lips, kings, princes, priests, and people, together with the stranger who joins them. Cities and families shall perish through their counsel. Honorable men and rulers shall fall through their tongue's decision. Behold, I am against you, oracle of Yahuwah of hosts, and you will lift up your skirts to your face and expose your nakedness to the nations and your shame to the kingdoms. Chapter 3. Interpreted, cities of the east. For the skirts are missing, and the nations shall missing, among them their filthy idols. So it'd be great if this stuff wasn't missing here. I will cast filth upon you and treat you with contempt and render you despicable, so that all who look upon you shall flee from you. Chapter 3. Interpreted, this concerns those who seek smooth things, whose evil deeds shall be uncovered to all Israel at the end of time. That's pretty cool. Wonder who that is. We'll leave that there. Interpreted, this concerns those who seek smooth things. If you look at the Halakha and the Dead Sea Scrolls, and you look at the rabbinic traditions and how they interpreted the law, the Dead Sea Scrolls sect, Nazarenes, priests, John the Baptizer, Messiah, compared to the rabbinic Judaism, Pharisaism interpretation, they're at odds, clashing all the time. And people bash the Dead Sea Scrolls. They don't realize that is the way. They tell you it's the way. So those who seek smooth things, who change the law to fit what they want, whose evil deeds shall be uncovered to all Israel at the end of time. Where are we at? Where are we at? Daniel chapter 12. Many shall understand their iniquity and treat them with contempt because of their guilty presumption. And then what do we have signed into law? I'm not going to get into all that, but when the glory of Judah shall arise, the simple of Ephraim shall flee from their assembly. They shall abandon those who lead them astray and shall join Israel, real Israel. When the glory of Judah shall arise, they shall say, Nineveh is laid waste. Who shall grieve over her? Whence shall I seek comforters for you? Chapter 3. Interpreted, this concerns those who seek smooth things, whose counsel shall perish, and whose congregation shall be dispersed. They shall lead the assembly astray no more, and the simple shall support their counsel no more. Oh, and this is pretty cool too. Let me pull this up right quick. They pulled the thing down. Crazy. We're heading into some rough waters. I like this little chart they do. Yeah. America. Where's it at? Well, come on now. So much to remember. Little brain. Come on. Where's it at? Did they take their website down? No way. I'm going to try this. Surely they didn't do this one now. Okay, that's not them. What the world? No way. Okay, that's not good. Alright, hang on a second. I'll show you on the book myself. It's always good to have a paper copy because they're going to censor the crap out of this internet. Alright, this is one of their books. I don't know where to get it now because the website's not on there. Surely it would work. The guy culture. There we go. Nope. What the heck is going on with their websites? Oh boy. Yep. That doesn't surprise me. They got a lot of good stuff. That would not surprise me if they tried to take them out. Anyways, here's one of their books. If you can find it, surely you could look on Amazon. Don't get it today. It's Sabbath, but that's one of them. And it's R.H. Charles translation. It's an old translation. It's a good translation. I prefer updated translations that reference newer manuscripts found, but a lot of their research is in here. That's what I'm trying to show you. So they've got references and research, and that stuff's very valuable. Okay, so what they do is, that might be why they took them down. You got heresy fruits, and you got all the stuff that they're called in the verses: vipers, hypocrites, span the word with leaven, blind, vain, operate against his commandment, lead people to hell, murderers, unclean, self-righteous, condemned to hell, on and on and on, devour widows, poor, thieves, don't know scripture, pray to be seen, don't know prophecy, seek signs, seek the synagogue of Satan, stand in the way of knowing, knowledge, accusers, liars, fools. That's what scripture calls them. And here's what the Dead Sea Scrolls calls them. Okay? So Messiah and the Apostles called them all those things. Here's the Dead Sea Scrolls. Sons of darkness, men of the pit, sons of Belial, a lot of Belial, wicked priest, unclean, thieves, rob the poor. That's all the quotations too. Defilers of the temple, vain, strangers, men of perdition, flatterers of law, liars, enemies, those who seek smooth things, scoffers, oppressive, overbearing, abomination, house of guilt, unfaithful, rebellious, vipers, spider, serpent, dragon, men of violence, instruments of violence. What the Messiah called them and fought against them is exactly what the Dead Sea Scrolls calls them. Pretty much. The Dead Sea Scrolls is a New Testament community, Messiah and the Apostles. I'm telling you. I'm not sure. Might be able to find it. There's the knock. It's going to be harder and harder to find stuff on this internet. There you go. See, I got the hardcover. I like the hardcover here because this is in color. You get it in color. But if you can't, get the paperback. Still good. Still got all the information in there. It's good stuff. Like I said, it's not updated with the latest manuscripts and scholar, for the words and stuff of Enoch that was found in the scrolls and all that stuff. But good research, and it's a decent translation. I like R.H. Charles. So that right there. I'm not gonna talk about that on the Sabbath, but you can see it. Alright, so anyways, I think I made the point there. That's what this is talking about. We're going to know who they are at the end of days. And they're coming for commandment keepers. They shall say, then it was laid waste. So congregation shall be dispersed. They shall lead the assembly astray no more. The simple shall support their counsel no more. And it's crazy the amount of believers that support that. The state, the people. I'm not saying there's not good ones mixed in, but just like America. It's a corrupt Roman, but there's good people mixed in. Are you better than Ammon, which lay among the rivers? 3. Interpreted, Ammon is Manasseh, and the rivers are the great men of Manasseh, the honorable men of, which was surrounded by waters, whose rampart was the sea, and whose walls were waters. 3. Interpreted, these are her valiant men, her almighty warriors. That's why I was trying to pull up the PDF. Yep. If you can find it. Ethiopia and Egypt were her limitless strength. 3. Interpreted, missing. So some of the scrolls damaged. Yep. So Put and the Libyans were your helpers. 3. Interpreted, these are the wicked of Yehuda, the house of separation, who joined Manasseh. Yeah, it's always good to read Enoch. And I like the thing about having different translations. It's a good opportunity for me to have an excuse to read it again. If I get a different translation, oh look, I get to read Enoch again. It's great. Yet she was exiled, she went into captivity. So, Put and Libyans were your helpers. It's in chapter 3 of Nahum. Interpreted, these are the wicked of Judah, the house of separation, who joined Manasseh. So if you're reading Nahum and you see that, you're not going to think anything about this, the wicked of Judah, and the house of separation who joined Manasseh. Who would think that? That's what it's interpreted. That's what they say. This is interpreted. This is what it says. I believe it. I believe they had the interpretation. It was the final, it tells you in Disney Scroll, this is the final interpretation of the law for the last age. And what happened? The Messiah died and ascended. Per the book of Enoch, this last age lasted from the time the Messiah died until now. 2,000 years. This was the final interpretation for the last age. Yet she was exiled, she went into captivity, her children were crushed at the top of all the streets. They cast lots for her honorable men, and all her great men were bound with chains. Interpreted, this concerns Manasseh in the final age. What would you say? Whose kingdom shall be brought low by Yisrael. His wives, his children, his little ones shall go into captivity. His mighty men and honorable men shall perish by the sword. He shall be drunk and be stupefied. 3. Interpreted, this concerns the wicked of Ephraim, whose cup shall come after Manasseh. You shall also seek refuge in the city because of the enemy. 3. Interpreted, this concerns their enemies in the cities. In the city, all your strongholds shall be like fig trees with newly ripe figs. 3. So a lot of it's fragmentary, but it gives you a lot, little bits and pieces of gold nuggets in there of information and interpretation. Yeah, it's good. It's good to check. Use that. Giza Worm was the first one I got. It's good. I still use it sometimes. But there's other ones too, and it's good to read and compare because they translate some things differently. Some information they'll put in, some they'll leave out. So it's good to have other different translations and stuff. So to me, I know it talks about Ephraim and Manasseh. If you look at, I'm going to end on this right here. I believe, and the God culture goes over this too, I lean toward their opinion a little bit. Where's it at? Dwelled in place of the Ebenezer. I think that's why it mentions, with this, the talkers of smooth things and everything, it mentions Ephraim and Manasseh, because I think the son of Ephraim and Manasseh came down to pollute Jerusalem. I'm not sure on that. Just a theory. Where's it at? Okay. Where's it at? First Kings. Second Kings 17, and the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and Cuthah and Avah and Hamath and Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel, and they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. So the northern kingdom got sent into captivity, and the king of Assyria sent people from Babylon to replace them. All right, and just remember that we got this Sumerians today, and Messiah compared them to dogs, Gentiles, and the woman said even the dogs can eat crumbs at the table, right? He's pretty much telling you that those people were not the northern kingdom. They were the replacement people. And so it was in the beginning of their dwelling there that they feared not Yahuwah, therefore Yahuwah sent lions among them and slew some of them. Key part here, wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which thou hast removed and placed in the cities of Samaria know not the manner of the God of the land. Therefore he hath sent lions among them, and behold, they slay them, because they know not the manner of the God of the land. So it's the Babylonians, king of Assyria sent to replace the children of Israel, the northern kingdom, so they didn't know how to worship God. Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, Carry thither one of the priests whom you brought from thence, and let them go and dwell there, and let them teach them the manner of the God of the land. Then one of the priests whom they carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel, and taught them how they should fear Yahuwah. Howbeit every nation made gods of their own, and put them in the houses of the high places which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities wherein they dwelt. And the men of Babylon made Succoth Benoth, and the men of Cuth made Nergal, and the men of Hamath made Ashima. They call him Hashem. 27. And the Abites made Nabhaz and Tortak, and the Sepharvites burnt their children in fire to Adremelech and Amalek, the gods of Sepharvaim. So they feared Yahuwah, and made unto themselves the lowest of them priests of the high places, which sacrificed for them in the house of the high places. And then they feared Yahuwah, and served their own gods after the manner of the nations whom they carried away from thence. Unto this day they do after the former manners. They fear not Yahuwah, neither do they after their statutes, or after their ordinances, or after the law and commandment which Yahuwah commanded the children of Jacob, whom he named Yisrael, with whom Yahuwah had made a covenant, and charged them, saying, You shall not fear other gods, nor bow yourselves to them, nor serve them, nor sacrifice to them. But Yahuwah, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt with great power and a stretched out arm, him shall you fear, and him shall you worship, and to him shall you do sacrifice. And the statutes and ordinances and the law and the commandment which he wrote for you, you shall observe to do forevermore, and you shall not fear other gods. And the covenant that I made with you, you shall not forget, neither shall you fear other gods. But Yahuwah your Elohim you shall fear, and he shall deliver you out of the hand of all your enemies. Howbeit they did not hearken, but they did after the former manner. So these nations feared Yahuwah, and served their graven images, both their children and their children's children, as did their fathers, so do they unto this day. So I was thinking they had more people that came. I guess it was one priest. But that doesn't mean when it's saying Ephraim and Manasseh that it's not the replacement people that replaced Ephraim and Manasseh. Just like he calls it Samaria, even though it's Babylonians that went to inhabit the land. So I think those are some of the people that came down and helped to corrupt Jerusalem. And you got those people that live in the land now that are Samaritans. Yeah. Samaritans. And you see they only keep 5 books of Moses. And then you see the Sadducees in the New Testament. They only kept 5 books of Moses. So it's interesting. Just theories. So, all right. I hope that was a blessing and helpful. And y'all protect us and help us be counted worthy. And we can make it through. Yep. Happy Sabbath. Thanks for coming and keeping the comments lively and keeping me company in the Bible study.